Welcome to yet another episode of the Leadership Lab with Dr. VK. Today we are continuing from where we stopped with Dr. Nkanda. We're discussing leadership in the home. So welcome once again, Dr. Nkanda.
Thank you very much.
I'm so happy you are here again.
Honored as well. Thank you.
And thank you so much. So today we want to talk about child neglect and how that sometimes manifests itself when a child now has grown into an adult, and how that impacts on their leadership or their inability to take instructions, as it were. So do you think child neglect has an impact on leadership?
It does. Big time. It does. As you were
So-
talking, I was trying to understand what would be the opposite of the word negligence.
Mm.
So I'm saying negligence.
Neglect. Yeah.
Yes, I'm saying neglect as a something that is the opposite of manage.
Mhm.
So I am to manage something. It's either managing it or I'm neglecting it.
Yeah.
Now, talking about management, close to leadership, that word now management from its root original word, it's like handling. So you can be flying something on a cooker.
Mm.
That thing is so hot, but as long as it has a handle, you can still use it. You
Yeah.
can still function. So I'm looking at neglect as that sort of a thing where you are handling a knife without a handle
Mhm.
or a frying pan without a handle. So neglect, the word you've used is very big, and it ought not to appear anywhere near leadership or near management or near a child. So I would say a father is everything to a child.
Mhm.
Because that word father or papa in Latin, what it means is a source.
Mhm.
It actually means you are from that source. So you know the principle of life. Once you take off something from its source, there
dies.
is chaos.
Yeah.
It actually dies. It's like you're taking fish away from the waters, or maybe a tree away from the soil. So there are so many dead walking children, and that comes as a result of neglect. But I would say it's something that ought not to happen. Yes.
And then there's this thing also where I think I wrote a book called Made to Bloom, where the central argument there is every one of us has the ability to bloom, and that you bloom where you are planted.
Yes.
So you should think about a plant where you've planted it here today. In 2 weeks, you decide, no, I'll uproot it and then I'll plant it somewhere, And then after a week, you decide to take it away and then you will plant it somewhere else. It can never bloom. If it's a rose, it can't bloom. It will have problems. If it's a maize seed, it will eventually die because it has to be rooted in one place for it to bloom. Which is why, for me, if you neglect your responsibilities as a parent, as a guardian, as a steward, that will eventually manifest itself, because then that child, even if they're not moving physically from one place to another, they're moving mentally. They're not grounded. They're not really rooted. So I wanted to find out what are some of the things or manifestations of neglect in a child, or when someone has disregarded their responsibilities as a parent.
This is they call it Maslow hierarchy of needs. One of the things that appears there is a sense of belonging. Those are social science studies. They say that every human being wants to feel loved. So for a child who was not loved in their childhood,
You can tell.
but they are also violent because they said nobody cared for me, and therefore
I would not care.
I don't care about anybody. So that is why you'd find street kids they can stab you easily because they just don't care. But why is it that they don't care? It is because they didn't experience care. So we can easily create a violent environment if we are raising children that are not cared for. But also maybe for maybe let me say it's easy for me to sleep with a woman and then there is a child there. I just need to be a man. Yeah, I just need to be a man. But for me to take care of a child that will come out of that act requires a lot of things.
Yeah, and I like what you're saying, because I also believe, even from a woman's perspective, that it takes a lot for you to be a mother than just going through the labor ward.
Of course.
Nurturing a child or taking care of a child requires much more than you just having been through the labor ward or being through the biological process of having a child. There's a lot more that you need to do. When we are having these children, when we are raising them in our homes, are we having that consciousness that we may actually just be raising the next future president or a future minister or a future pastor or a future businessman? Do we have that consciousness, or we're just raising them because they're mine, they're Nkandas, they're Kantukules, so I'm raising them? Do we intentionally raise our children?
It takes us back to what you had said in the previous episode, where you were looking at leadership, parenting in a home as stewardship. Because the moment we begin to look at leadership and parenting in a home as stewardship, then a certain sense of demand will be placed in our hearts to say, I think if these children are beyond us. These children are a gift to Malawi. These children are a gift to the world.
Yeah.
These children are gift maybe to the church or to any religious entity. So you are looking at those kids beyond yourself. And in tune with that, I remember when I was was it standard 3 or 4? Those years, A, B, C. They could be standard 3, B, A, and C. And then they could combine.
Yes.
And then you would have a number 1 from 3 classes.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a time I didn't necessarily get my school report on assembly, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, yeah.
I didn't necessarily. I read a book by Dennis Waitley, Being at Your Best. He said it doesn't matter whether you are not the first, but just be at your best.
Yes.
So I remember I was number 4. I went home, but the way how my dad loved me a lot, but the way how he treated me here, it was one scenario. It stayed with me. Because now he was like trying to ask me what happened to number 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
So because I loved him, because he was my man, so my hero. So I said, I think I'm not any better. But I was at my best at number 4.
Yeah.
Now, if upon checking my sister's school reports, my goodness, one was 70 something.
Oh my God.
One was 100 something.
Oh my God.
But you know what that means? He had unrealistic expectations on me being the firstborn.
Yeah.
It's a take, I think, for us family to say, let's not overstretch our children. Let's celebrate them in the minimal achievements that they
I remember having, my father taught me to always compete with my grades. And then eventually when I grew up, there's a verse that really challenges me. It says, when it's in Corinthians, it says, when they compare themselves with themselves,
they are not wise.
They're not wise at all. Actually, it says it's foolish to compare yourself with somebody else, because it means your standard is another human being, and your standard is actually supposed to be Christ.
Yes, of course.
So I would complain. I was never good at math, and I would complain. Now I got 47. I got 50, whatever. And then, but the highest got 98 or 80. And then you ask me, what did you get last term? So if, for example, this time I've gotten 52
from
47, you'll be like, no, you're
improving.
Because your measure is not another person. Your measure is your own grades, because you are not going to be assessed based on what somebody else did. You'll be assessed based on what you did. So you need to look within yourself, to compare yourself with yourself. So now the issue that you have brought up about when we are challenging our children, I think for me it's about, don't you think that it's about it's a delicate line there.
Of course.
So you know that your child is a straight A student,
Can
or
do.
at least in that course, they are a straight A student. They get A pluses, but this time around they get a C or a B. So a B is still okay,
but
she can do better. She can get an A or an A plus. So how do you balance by saying, no, okay, it's okay, without necessarily showing her that B is fine?
Okay.
But at the same time, communicating that you can actually do better without putting them under pressure. Remember, you said that parenting is challenging. So I'm putting that challenge to you. How do you balance those two?
Now, the challenge with our style of parenting is that we stand on the finishing line.
We are already at the end.
Yes, to wait for our child to just... Yeah, but there are some parents, they will be at the beginning.
Okay.
So what I wanted to convey there is that I think it will be a setback if me as a parent am more interested in my child's results more than I am involved in the process of her getting better results. I'll give you an example. There are some parents who are very much interested in the work of their children at school. It becomes easier when you see results to say, but maths, last term you did 30 something. This term 40 something. This term, now you've gone back. I think we are going, don't you think we are going backwards? So you know what's going on. But you are not just coming and say, how can you get a 45?
I'm paying too much fees.
Yes, I'm paying too much fees.
I'm suffering to pay your school fees.
So you're just interested in the process, in the what? In the result, not the process.
So in other words, you have to decide whether by this child getting 37% or failing in that course, it is actually bruising your ego, or if it is bruising your child.
Yes.
Remember, you have spoken about living our lives through our children.
Yes.
So if they are failing, you are thinking that it is a reflection on you, that you have failed. Which for me, I think it's something is not right there. Because you have a responsibility. I'll tell you what my child did. She was failing and I would shout. Using what you were saying. How can you get this? How can you get it? And then at that point, it so happened that the younger one, who was 2 classes behind, would actually be excelling in those things that this sister was failing in. And I would be frustrated. And I would shout and shout and shout. Until one day, when I realized, I think I'm looking at this the wrong way. I started encouraging. And then I taught her a prayer. I said, before you write an exam, tell God what you want. I will not tell you what you should pray, but tell God what you want. Tell him, me, I've studied, but tell him how you want to perform in that exam. And I actually forgot about it. In her school, at that time, they were in primary school. There was, we would go into the hall to receive from, I think then they were doing grade position 1 to 5, I think. Or I think even 10, I don't remember, but I think position 1 to 5. So my office was just like 200 meters from their school. So I remember I was even late that day because I was like, hours, we get it from the classroom. So no problem. So this other one, she would either be position number 1 or position number 2, or at least from position 1 to 3. So I would be, ready for that. So I got for the second one. She was in position 2. Then that was standard 3. The other one is in standard 5. The one that was frustrating me was in standard 5. So they start mentioning the names on position 1, and then they mention my child's name.
On position 1?
You know what I did? And I was actually standing in the back. I wasn't even sitting down. I said, they are confused. This one is in standard 3. She's already received. Because me, I'm thinking it was supposed to be this one.
And not the other one.
You know what happens next? I'm actually getting goosebumps. I saw my child going up. Me, I was like, Tama, what are you doing?
That's your sister's
report. But then that's standard 5. She's in standard 3. How can they make that kind of a mistake? I was embarrassed. I couldn't even clap hands when everybody else was clapping hands. I couldn't, because I couldn't believe it. I had betrayed my child. Then I went, I picked, because I'm still in disbelief. I took that report from her and it was her name on it. Chief, I cannot describe
Did
how
he notice your disbelief?
he did. And then we got in the car. I didn't know what to say. I said, Tama, why didn't you tell me? Because for some reason, in that term, they didn't bring the papers, the exam papers, because normally they would bring home.
Yes.
So you would know already, she has performed the way she always performs, or she has done well. On that day, I didn't know. So I asked, I said, Tama, why didn't you tell me? She said, I wanted to surprise you. It's an 8-year-old child. I could tell the damage that I had done. I stopped the car. Then I went to the office. I took her in my office. I hugged her. And I apologized to my child. I said, I am sorry, because at that moment, I knew that something had happened in the child. She said, I worked hard because I wanted to surprise you. So you find that sometimes our children will do things because they want to please us.
Yeah.
But their heart is not into it.
And
then later on in life, I've heard people who say, I did this degree because you wanted me to do it.
Yeah,
but me, I'm an artist. I've had people who have come to Chasa College. They've signed up for sciences, pure sciences. But eventually then they got withdrawn from school because they couldn't perform there. And then
it's not in them, but it's in their parents.
It's in their parents. Their parents. So we feel good when, my child is studying engineering. And then the other one is studying medicine at College of Medicine. And then the other one, the younger one, is also going to be an architect. It makes us feel good. We don't think about what that is doing, because eventually that will manifest at the national level. You would have been forced to do something that you're not interested in. It's like forcing a wife or a husband on you. Somebody that you don't love, but you're forced to live with. They cannot be loved there. So I think this thing that you're talking about, I want us to break it down. How do you are supposed to lead, like you explained in the first episode. You are also supposed to parent, and you ably differentiated the two, the parenting and the leading. But how do you achieve both without necessarily breaking the spirits of the child and taking them away from their God-given gifts and potential in life?
Excellent. So I would say that borrowing from what you've just said, the results that our kids are bringing home should not be tied to how those results are making us feel.
Yeah.
But rather, as parents, we must be so mindful of who our children are becoming, because those are two different things.
Yeah.
Our children can become successful in something that we don't like.
Yeah.
We've still done a very good job as parents. You just spoke about football. I also have a son, loves football. He wants to play professional football. I remember I need to go back to that commitment, but there was a time, I think every Thursday, I had to spare some time, play football with him. So until today, I make sure he's got new football boots. He so much believes that he's going to play, at that higher level. But you see now what God is doing. He's a sports prefect at their school. So when he's done with high school, I want to maximize my connections and possibly talk to one of these teams that, as he's waiting to go to a high school, he can be playing at a certain level.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask me, I want my child to do political science. I want him to be a lawyer. Yeah, so, but that would make me feel good, but he will not become
happy.
What he wants to become.
You will not be happy.
Yes, so I think it's key to know that as we are parenting our children, it's not how their results make us feel, it's who they are becoming. Now, on who they are becoming, we know what our children must become. It's not what we want them to become. That's what we were talking about, living twice. You lived your life, you want to live again
in the child's life.
Yeah. So there's a reason why your child wants to be an artist.
Yeah.
It's how he was wired. Now, if he doesn't become that, you're failed as a parent. And to conclude on that, 2 words: impression and intention. If my child becomes a well-known lawyer, but he or she is unfulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
We have conveyed an impression, but we have failed in
Yeah.
terms of an intention.
Mm-hmm.
Because intentionally we know who this child is.
Or should
So-
have been.
Yes. So we must also, I think, as parents, take note of this, that it's not how children make us feel.
Yeah.
It's who they are going to become under our parenting.
But there's also this thing where your child can be a well-renowned lawyer. Everybody's talking about them, but they are an abuser.
Of
They
course.
abuse people. They are corrupt.
Mm.
They steal money. They do all of these things. So skill must go hand in hand with character.
Of course.
And it will go back to what we were talking about, identity, the culture, these things that you are inculcating in your children at home.
Of course.
They will live by those things. I used to have a friend who used to say, I learned how to treat a woman from my father. My father was a giver, So I knew at an early stage that when you get a woman, you must give them, you must treat them in this way, So I saw how my mother would react. I saw how, because, they say a happy wife makes a happy home and all of that. He says, I lived that. I saw that. And that's why when I do these things to my wife, it's second nature to me,
Does them naturally.
They do them naturally. So, so for me, it's about, while you are nurturing the skills of the children, it must go hand in hand with building their character. I don't know if I was telling you, but I spoke about this in the other episodes. I was talking about, I was fascinated growing up when I saw a young boy driving a car. 12 years old, 13 years old, driving a car, and they'll be like, oh my God, they're rich, they're driving a car. Until when I started driving a car, when I encountered the decision-making that has to go on the road,
Just drive.
the level of humility that you have to exercise, where you are late, but somebody, and you have the right of way, somebody just cuts you off. They want to be in front of you. They'll do this thing. At the roundabout, you go to the left and this person wants to go to the right. You want to cuss, you want to do all of these things, but you still have to maintain yourself. And a child that is 10, 12 years old cannot make those kind of decisions. So there's a place for skills, but there will always be a place for character.
Yes, true.
Your character never leaves you. It cascades into every aspect of your life. Now, I want us to go to the issue of modeling. I think you spoke about it in the last episode, where we as parents, or parents are or guardians or stewards, they are the first model of their children. However, the reality of the situation is that themselves as parents, they are also navigating some challenges themselves. There are mental health issues. There are financial issues. There are issues at work and all of this. But at the same time, when they come into the home, living in the home, they still have to be a model to their children. So how do they do that?
Okay. There are two maybe dimensions from where you can connect to your children as a leader, as a father, or as a parent, or even a mother. The heart level, where you are walking with a child, like we said in the last episode, you are walking with a child, showing her or him the patterns of life. But also there is the hand level now, where you are now teaching, showing the child how she or he can succeed in what he does, not who he is. So there is a walking, there is a walk that is to do with life, and then there is work. So work is where you are now referring to as a skill, where you support your child in what he does. So that's work dimension. It's a hand level. You are present there. You are so present. But like you said earlier on, that character is what matters the rest. So the work matters than the work. So you make sure that you are walking with your child. You're walking with your child in his life. And because you're walking with that child, you're also interested in their work. So the one is primary, the other one is secondary. Now, on the issue of neglect, you can imagine that there are parents who are absent in both, both in the walking and in the working. So I would tell you that there was a time I was going through some rough times financially. But there was a time my dad told me that, you know what, my son, you're very wise. He didn't say a lot of things.
Yeah.
He just said, you're very wise. So because of how it made me feel, I don't stop affirming my kids.
Yeah.
I always tell them you're a great leader, you're a great what. Because if I'm now present to affirm or to endorse whatever they are doing, their work, they'll grow up believing that.
Yeah.
I was watching a certain interview. This famous guy, but I don't know his name, unfortunately, was talking to Ronaldo now, was showing him a video of his dad saying how proud he was about his son. Ronaldo broke down.
Yeah.
He couldn't stop crying.
Yeah.
I said, why are you crying? He said, I wish he had seen what I had become. But the dad believed. So there's a way how a present father would build confidence in a child, competence in a child, character in a child. And I can't imagine how a child can grow up
without that.
You're
right to say the first affirmations that a child must encounter should be at home. And it will be the most important.
Yes.
And the most sustaining.
Yes.
Because remember, human beings, today they can say something nice to you because they want something from you.
Yes, of course.
But your parent doesn't want anything from you. Is your parent.
Of course.
So if they tell you, you look good, this is good, you are a born leader, they will go out believing I'm a born leader, you know. So what I'm hearing you say, which I think is very powerful when you're talking about leadership, is about you can have the skills, you can have the character, but you also need a support system that starts from home. You can have a support system from friends, but friends, they waver. They can be there. They can. You won't believe the kind of friends that I have lost along the way in the past 5 years. Some that would look at me with disgust and so much hate. But my sisters can never do that. My mother can never do that.
They'll still be there.
They'll still be there. So that's why it is extremely important that a person has a sense of belonging at home. Can you imagine if somebody has been rejected at home?
No.
So they'll go out there, and then that human being is the one that is going to abuse everybody else because they were abused.
Of course.
Because I also believe that the emotional torture that people go through supersedes the physical torture that they'll be going through.
Of course.
So if your mother is telling you, you are not born right, you are ugly. I will never expect any man to tell me that I'm beautiful.
Of course, you would think they are lying.
I would think they are lying. If a man tells me,
there's something they are looking for.
Hey, oh my God, you are beautiful. I'll be like, oh my God, why would you want to lie to me? If my own mother, the one that brought me in this earth, says that I am ugly, I cannot believe what you're saying. So for you to be a successful leader, you need a support system that affirms you on a daily basis.
Of course.
When you're up there, I remember when I took oath of office as deputy minister, and my father's sister lives here in Lilongwe, and she said, why wasn't I invited? And remember that time, it was COVID time. It was in 2020, August. And we were not allowed to bring anyone. Even my husband didn't stand with me there. So I told her, would you know? So my father is late. So that's his only surviving sister. She said, I should have been there. I said, I know. But the circumstances couldn't allow me to bring you. But she said, I wanted to be there to celebrate with you right there. And I wanted my entire family to be there on behalf of my father, on behalf of everybody else. But I couldn't. But for me, that's what family does. When a child does right, everybody else celebrates. When a child is struggling, I want to believe that the same kind of energy must be exerted to find a solution for that child. That's why they say it takes a community
to raise a child.
Which is something that is not happening these days. You know what is happening now? You see your friend's child going astray, you just say, hey, what's that got to do with me?
You make fun
You are refusing or failing to understand that whatever impact that child is going to encounter
Will be affected.
will have an impact in all of us.
Will be affected. Where I comment.
Whatever happens in your home will have a bearing in my home. If we could only think like that, we would take up responsibility to care, to be concerned with other people's issues. So I like that very much, where you're saying the affirmations from a father, from a parent, they go a long way.
And they come from your working with the child and being interested in what he or she is working on. Maybe just to also add on that one, most of our, the common parenting style that we've been exposed to is a proximity one, where you just stay in the same home. And you and me growing up, you know what was happening. When dad is coming, you have to
all of us, we are running away. We're going to the bedroom.
Yes. So you are growing up in that same house. Proximity, you are okay.
Yeah.
He's there.
We know
he's
him.
absent.
Yeah, we saw him. He wore a blue shirt when he was going to work yesterday.
And when he finishes eating, you are checking if he has left something.
There's a funny story about leaving the food. My late brother, may his soul rest in peace, the one that comes after me. My father used to love chili a lot. So then my brother would compete about who was going to get the plate. So you would outclass me anytime. So he would go get the plates and then eat on the way to the kitchen. So there would be a lot of chili in there. So he suffered, maybe for a month, until he told my dad. He said, "Dad, please, when you're eating, you should put a small part on the side. Don't put chili, because when I take the plates, I eat on the way." My dad asked him, he said, "How long have you been doing this?" He said, "All along. All this time you didn't tell me." So
so you couldn't tell him
when we were eating nice food that has been left by the father. There was some chicken parts that would not be touched by anybody else, but the father.
So exactly what I wanted to say, that him eating the food is a function of proximity.
Yeah.
He's close to his dad.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
Yes.
The dad not knowing.
He didn't know.
Is a connectivity issue.
Yes.
They were not connected.
Yeah.
So I think that is where now our generation, our kids are so blessed, because connectivity is now going way ahead of proximity. Our children are our friends.
Yes.
We're able to see it. And that is very important, because kids are going through stuff.
Yeah.
Kids have got emotional issues.
Yeah.
We need to sit with our kids, tell them issues about sex.
Yeah.
There's a better way to do it.
Yeah.
Sex education. We need to tell them issues about confidence. To say, don't find your identity in what
somebody
you do,
else,
or who is competing with you. We need all the time with our kids, all the time. And the danger is,
I like that before you go to the danger.
Yes.
Now, I like that you are saying that, because what is happening at the moment is that parents are expecting their children to get that from school.
Yes, so now that's a challenge.
A teacher that has 50 kids in her class
and her own kids
kids at home.
Yes.
We are expecting that kid. No. Somebody was telling me, "Oh, your kids are in that school." I said, "Yeah." I said, the standards have gone low there. I challenged her. I said, "Okay, I want you to give me a name of a school on this land that doesn't have issues. So a school that would 100% prevent a child from doing something. Because when a child is determined to do something, they will do it, whether the school is strict or not. What is very key is what you have placed within that child. That is what is going to sustain her or him when they go into any environment at all. The problem there now is that we send our kids raw, without anything, and we're expecting that character to be built by the teachers, the headmaster. I don't think that's right.
I think it goes back to the issue of modeling our children. We know what they must become. And for them to become that, it is us who must model it. At school, education is just a tool for your child to become that which he must become.
Yeah.
You cannot have a vision of becoming a PhD holder, because a PhD is a tool to attain a vision. You cannot say my vision is to build 10 houses in my life. Those houses are just tools. So like the time that our kids spend in school is just a vehicle for them to become what they want to become, but they will become what we are modeling to them.
I caught you there when you wanted to talk about the dangers of that element of not modeling on your children. You say there's a danger in when you neglect that.
Oh yeah. So there's no child who will not become anything.
Okay.
Every child will become something. Yes, but what matters is what is it that they have become.
Yeah.
And if us as parents and leaders in the home, we know where our children must be and what they must become, it's work. We need to labor and then help them become that. If we don't allow them to become that, they will become something else. Now, it's either they will make their own decisions to say, this is what I want to become, or they will be influenced.
Yeah.
Now, the beauty with leadership, as John Maxwell defines it, that leadership is influence. If we influence our children into certain patterns of life, like what the Bible even says, that train up a child whilst he's young in a way that they should go. There are some kids, it's not that they are not drinking because they don't have money. It's not that they are not drinking because they don't have access to alcohol, but it's never in them.
Yeah.
It's
They made a choice.
You know, in the Bible, there's an exciting story about, I think it's Jeremiah. We're not preaching. Jeremiah 35. It's about the Rechabites. Now God was telling Jeremiah, take these guys, buy some beers for them. And you know, they put beers there.
Yeah.
They say, can you drink? They say, no, we can't. You know why they said they cannot? They said our parents told us
Not
that we must never drink. Or
Daniel also said the same thing. Daniel said, I shall not violate my body, defile myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there are some things that we must install in our children to the level that...
Not out of fear, though.
No. It's not out of fear, because fear is not sustainable.
Yeah.
But out of who we are and how life must be. And then the danger that I wanted to talk about is our children becoming something that they were not supposed to become, because no matter what, every child becomes something.
So then are you saying that if you look at the failures in our society, there would be a function of the failures in the home?
Definitely. Primarily, I would say so, because children are mostly on the receiving end. We are the ones who are
making the decisions.
So I like it. I loved it when you talked about a 12-year-old driving. Driving takes a lot of judgment, like you said. So we also cannot expect from a child way beyond her levels of maturity. So there is more coming from the top and more going down there where a child is. So we want to take responsibility to say, if we have got a scattered community, it is because we've got scattered parents. Because there are some patterns of life when they are instilled in a child, in proper terms, at a proper time, they stay. I'll give you an example of in Russia, there was a World Cup game between Belgium and Japan. So Japan lost in the very last minutes. But you know what the Japanese did? They cleaned the whole stadium.
After the game.
Nicely.
Yeah.
And then they went in the streets, cleaned. And they left a note in the locker room, just thanking the Russians for the great time they had.
Yeah.
And then they went back. It's the same thing you were saying in the last episode. I watch my kids when they finish eating.
What do?
They must put back the chair.
Yes.
And then they must take the plate and wash it.
Yes.
We have a maid. Okay, wash it. I'm okay. Okay, so it's something I'll say another day. I only learned how to cook sima, I think in 2006. It was very embarrassing.
You were a spoiled boy.
Of course. Because mbali mango ponya, just throwing them in the sink. And then this guy I was staying with, he wanted me to fry some eggs. I put oil this level.
Oh my God.
And threw an egg there. The way he shouted at me. So it's what you normally say, that what occurs in private reflects
In
in
public.
public. But going back to the Japanese, you drop your wallet somewhere, you
find it.
it is not in them to steal.
Mhm.
Even if they want to steal, they will not manage because it's not in them. But these are things they have not learned in school.
Yeah.
Because even in school, the Japanese, they have less cleaners. Kids clean themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can actually see that it is us parents now who must impose, sometimes influence our kids into certain patterns, certain lines of living. And I will continue to repeat to say, when a parent is absent to such a demanding responsibility, we've got a chaotic generation.
Exactly. So I think it brings me back to leadership from the home, because when you have a children, you need to understand. You remember in the last episode you were talking about realizing that each one of them has the different personalities, different destinies, and all of that. Therefore, you cannot use a one size fits all blueprint in terms of nurturing them or guiding them.
Yes.
So I think that understanding, where you come to a level where you say, I am just a steward. I've just been given the privilege to raise this child in my home.
Yes.
But this child is her own or his own person. Where do you think parents have a problem there to separate, to say, this is a person on their own? And therefore, there's a degree of individuality that will be exercised by this child, no matter what influence you exert on them. Like you're saying, you would want your child to be a lawyer, and this child is saying, me, I want to play football.
I want to play football.
I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to play football. So to what extent do you make you make peace with that, understanding that this is an individual on their own?
Excellent question there. I think for a parent who has succeeded within his own personal lines, would easily understand how a child must also succeed within. I'll give you an example. I know you might have met Napoleon.
Yes, I have met him
as Minister of Tourism. So this man walked away from school.
Yeah,
because there was nothing to do there.
Yes,
it was
he had some questions that he didn't have answers to.
Yes. So now, for a man like him, it will be very easy for him to give his child a chance to be there on their
own, to do what they like.
That's how they have succeeded.
Yeah. Which brings me back to say, you say that leadership in the home, the leader must have gone to that place.
Yes, and then come back
and craft a vision on how we are going to get there.
Yes. But then your question is still tough in a way that as a parent, you also want to be too sure that the child is going to succeed in football. So I'll give you
there's a place for ambition.
Yes.
And then there's a place for a hobby.
Of course.
I like playing football as a hobby.
As a hobby.
And then as a parent, you're saying, but is that going to sustain you? Are you going to put food on the table?
Yes.
That, you know?
Yes. So, I wanted to give a certain example. I'll give you an example of this guy who does comedy, Daliso. Yes. He does his jokes.
Yes.
But I think as a parent, you are now asking yourself that as a parent,
is he serious?
I've had all these opportunities. This person could have become a lawyer like me. Another example is Cristiano Ronaldo. His child is also into football. Sometimes
even
I'm asking
myself, child. Yeah.
Yes, I'm asking myself, is this coming from the child
or the father? Yeah.
Sometimes it looks like it comes from both. But the parent must now be careful to say, I think we'll allow our child to be the footballer that he wants to be. He cannot be a Ronaldo like me. He's on his own. You are reminding me the issue of David Beckham. He's been in courts.
Yeah, with his son.
Yes, because then parents wants to tell him some of the things that he must do. But it's a critical question, like I said, because the line is too thin. You have to be accommodative, but at the same time, you have to be protective. So to manage these two, being protective and being accommodative, is very tough.
Yeah.
But I think by the end of the day, it would become easier if we make parenting more about the child than
about us,
as
yeah.
parents. Yes.
So now you've spoken about us living in the information age where there's too much information, so much so that people, especially young people, may not even have the capacity to receive what's important, what I must align with, what I must take, what I must not take, and all of that. It is becoming chaotic like that. So then teenagers or young people think they know everything, which is why they don't like being mentored, or they don't like, having a role model or something like this. They don't like being mentored. They just want to have what the mentor has, or find a shorter way to having what the so-called mentor has. What would you say to young people who feel like that, who behave as though they know everything?
Excellent question. You've heard about this proverb which says, what an orderly man sees while seated. Yes, and a young person cannot see whilst standing. Like I said in the previous episode, that in the 1300s, when they were crafting that word leadership, what the key word tied to that word was going. So there is a going, but then not just a going, there is a knowing. A parent, a leader, is someone who has gone somewhere. So it goes beyond knowing where I must be as a young person. You talked about ambition. Young people nowadays, they are too ambitious, like way too ambitious. So they know stuff, but there is a difference between knowing and also going. So leadership parenting is a going issue, beyond a knowing issue. These are people who have married before. These are people who have parented before. These are people who have made mistakes. They know if you make that decision, it's gonna end like that.
Yeah.
If you do this, it's gonna be. And there are sometimes young people are also mostly driven by feelings, emotions. We are parents, leaders are more logical.
Yeah.
Beyond how a child is feeling, they are able to logically analyze.
Yeah. Emotional intelligence.
Yes, you love this boy. Yes, you love this girl. Yes. But
have you considered?
Not at 14.
Yes,
what do you think? Not at 14. I already gave you right to say when you guys get to 17, 18, I think you can start talking.
Yes,
you can bring them here.
Yeah.
We want to know them.
Yeah.
But not now. So, but you're telling a child
who thinks deeply in love.
Yes, they are feeling so much about that person. So, it's a feeling generation where some parents who are also too accommodative are losing it.
Yeah.
Because anything that will make their child not feel right, or that will make them feel happy, they will go for it. Anything that will not make them feel happy, even if it is not right. So it's awkward. I'll go back to the same battle between being accommodative and being protective. But for young people, the parents know what we don't know. I've always had moments when I'm at a crossroads. I don't feel ashamed about it. I call my mother on issues that I was supposed to talk to my fellow man.
Yeah.
To say,
how can I? Yeah.
These issues of love. You and him. When it happens like this, like that, am I exaggerating? And then she will answer me. But the way she will answer me, I don't think I could have acquired this kind of an answer
from a
therapist. Because now she's telling me, like you said in the previous episode, that parents know what is right for you.
Yeah.
They can't advise you the way your friends can.
But sometimes they still allow you to have your way.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to face the fire, because there are things that would change you just by listening, but there are some things you'll be properly shaped by experience
after you have gone through the fire.
Of course.
Lastly, as we come to the conclusion of this episode, I do believe that there's a wave of energy within Africa among our young people that is coming, and actually I think it's not coming. It is here.
It's here. Yeah.
However, I'm not sure if, number one, we have the capacity to absorb that kind of energy as a continent. Number two, if the young people themselves know what to do with the energy that they have. All right. Now that's a topic on its own.
Yes.
But the question that I want to derive from there is, if we were to change two things in terms of how Africans we are raising our children in the homes, or how we are building leaders from the home, what would those two things be?
Okay, tough question there. The first thing that we called to propel is a changed mindset. A changed mindset in our children, not to live programmed lives, but they must live purpose-driven lives. Programmed life is the parenting where you just encourage your child to go to school, get good grades, get a good job.
That's what they used to tell us 25,
Yes.
30 years ago. Go to school, you get a good job.
And you see, now you've read a book by Dr. Robert Kiyosaki,
Yeah.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The poor dad was highly educated, a PhD holder, was very poor. The rich dad was wearing my jeans and then he was using an old truck, very rich. So this changed mindset is a mindset where we are allowing our children to flourish in unfamiliar places because they are not common. They are not common. So we are taking that risk to say, I'll be the first to change my mindset that you can win in unfamiliar areas because you're unique. And uniqueness is actually what brings greatness. And then you are also teaching your child to say, I normally tell my kids, like I've got my second born is not really into these things of top 5, top what. But if you are to make a decision in a home, I think this is he's a go-to person. We want to do a certain project, I would go to him. How do you want this to be? He will design something on a calendar and then we'll start naming the structures together. So I normally tell him, because I know the numbers he gets, so I normally tell him to say, you are not your positions in class, you are your potential. So if we are to shift two things, I think in our parenting style, number one is a change of mindset. A change of mindset. And I'm qualifying it by saying, let's not live programmed lives. No, go to school, do the good. We must be willing to be different from the very beginning. And that's number one. Number two, no parent is allowed to parent a child from a comfortable position. Those kids will never become any great. Now, we know the lines to draw. There are schools we cannot send our kids to right now. But I also don't want to send my kids to schools I can easily afford. Because such schools sometimes
They'll
don't
make
have
you
the best education.
and then they'll give you the laxity.
So I want to parent my child from a stretched position. So that's another call to all of us as a parent. No one is permitted to parent a child from a comfortable position. We must stretch. We must sacrifice. We must sacrifice.
And then there's this thing about, parenting from a negative perspective, where you would say, I want my child to have this because I didn't have it. And then it means whenever you're doing that, already the platform from which you are rising is the wrong one. Because you're doing it to impress somebody else.
Yes, from
you're
the
doing
negative.
it to prove a point. I didn't have this, so I want my child to have this. It may not necessarily be the right thing for the child to have at that time, but you're doing it because they should see that I can also what? I can also do it.
No,
so we operate from fear. We are operating from a place of competition.
Negatives.
And then the negative side, where my parents did this, I don't want to do this. I think the understanding that your parent was a different person from you, your child is also a different person from you. And I like those two things you're saying, where the mindset change about, we have looked at Africa as everything bad.
And backward.
So much so that that's what is fueling the migration that is happening now, where everything that is not African is good. Everything that is African is primitive, it's backward, it is wrong, it's fetish. We need to change that mindset, because I think it was not a mistake that were born here
in Africa.
in Africa. And that is why I think going forward, for me, when we are raising these young African leaders, we need them to know their culture, their being, that is their identity.
Yes.
That is their leverage.
And that's where they can
That
win.
is their place of power.
Yes.
That is where they can win. Without which they can only be somebody that came from Africa. Then they're here. They've, tried to make it. But here, that's where you belong. The second thing for me would be to say, how now must we... So the learning that is coming from the home, that is going outside in the public, it must marry. Where even when we're training, our education system must reflect the vision. Because you've spoken about the vision.
Yes.
So it means at continental level, we must have a vision for Africa. At country level, we must have a vision. And then it boils down to the home. So that home is taking us all the way to the countries. So if countries are achieving their country vision,
the continent is also winning.
Does.
Profound.
So that vision that you're talking about, that mindset change that you're talking about, goes far much deeper than just individuals, individual beings. It has to be...
It's a nation.
It's a nation.
It's a continent. It's a generation.
It's a generation. So when these African young leaders are coming from where they are coming, going here, they would be holding that to say, this is Africa. We are calling
this
it
is
home.
who we are.
This is who we are.
This is what
and we are not ashamed
to
be Africans. Dr. Nkanda, thank you very much indeed for all your insights and your wisdom. I am so sincerely grateful that you made time to be with us on the podcast. So see you next time. This has been the Leadership Lab with Dr. VK. Remember, we are taking it one conversation at a time to raise a generation of young African leaders that are resilient, that are stable, and that will take Africa to the next height. Please subscribe to all our social media handles that are there on your screen. And by the way, you also need to subscribe to Dr. Caswell Nkanda's social media pages that we're also going to display on your screens, because our content seems to be aligned. Thank you very much for being with us.